With Season 10 of Formula E right around the corner, we want to give our preview and predictions for the year ahead. After a thrilling start to the Gen 3 era, this coming season promises to build on that momentum. While it may not be guaranteed to be the best season ever, as Formula E's marketing department would have us believe, all of the pieces are there for another excellent season and title fight. To start off, let's preview each of the 11 teams in reverse championship order. First, finishing bottom of the table in Season 9 is the Cupra team, who struggled mightily at the beginning of their comeback season to Formula E. However, they improved steadily through the year and were slightly quicker than their powertrain manufacturer, Mahindra, by season's end. Of course, the one bright spot of their year was the second round of the Berlin E-Prix, where their car seemed to be driving in a different category altogether as their drivers locked out the front row in a very wet qualifying session. Nico Müller was a revelation, as he gradually improved as the season wore on, resulting in points in 3 of the last 4 races. For Freins, his season never really got going, as he broke his wrist at the opening Mexico City E-Prix and missed almost 2 months of action. While his replacement Kelvin van der Linde performed admirably, it was not what the team was hoping for. While Robin Freins has left for Envision, the team has brought in the vastly experienced and talented Lucas Di Grassi to partner Nico Müller in what should prove to be a pretty competitive lineup. Next up is Mahindra, who endured a torrid first season of the Gen 3 era. Despite a great start in Mexico City, where Lucas Di Grassi snatched a well-deserved pole position and managed to convert it into a podium, the season went downhill from there. Things reached a nadir at the Cape Town E-Prix, where both Mahindra and Abt were forced to withdraw from the race prior to qualifying due to safety concerns over their rear suspension. The state of affairs got so bad that Oliver Rowland voluntarily left the team after the Monaco E-Prix and was replaced by Roberto Meri for the remainder of the season. The grid's only Indian team will be hoping for a fresh start in Season 10 with an all-new driver lineup. Coming in from Maserati is wily veteran Eduardo Mortara with 6 wins over his Formula E career. Joining him is Season 7 champion Nick De Vries, who is returning to the series after, shall we say, a less than ideal partial F1 season with AlphaTauri. Both drivers are bound to be hungry to rebound and produce good results for Mahindra this year. Nonetheless, Mahindra's lineup should provide their fair share of action and shenanigans this year. Moving on to the newly rebranded ERT team, which competed as Neo in Season 9. ERT took a solid step forward this past season compared to the results in the Gen 2 era, and they'll be looking to build on that progress in tandem with their young but talented driver lineup, which they've kept unchanged from last season. Formula E's bad boy Dan Ticktum, known for his brashness and his radio messages, has proven to be very quick over 1 lap and has shown considerable improvement from his rookie season. He'll be looking to build on that this year and try to get a promotion to a better seat up the grid. He'll be joined by Brazilian Sergio Sete Câmara, who had a bit of a down season compared to his previous results. He'll be looking to improve his qualifying form and take the fight to Ticktum this year. Finishing 8th in last year's championship, one of the biggest names in motorsport, McLaren, which took over Mercedes' back-to-back double champion entry, brought high expectations for the team. However, a chronically inefficient Nissan powertrain limited their competitiveness in the races. Mistakes by both Jake Hughes and René Rast cost them valuable points throughout the season and cost them 7th in the championship due to their powertrain manufacturer Nissan, despite holding a 55-point lead after the Sao Paulo E-Prix. Hughes will be looking to build off a solid rookie campaign where he showed his prowess over 1 lap but still has a lot of room to grow in terms of energy management. Joining him is fellow Brit and one of the most experienced drivers on the grid in Sam Bird, who is joining McLaren for a fresh start after 3 tough years at Jaguar. Next is McLaren's powertrain manufacturer, Nissan. The Japanese manufacturer took sole control of the team's entry after relying on the expertise of the Dams team for the duration of the Gen 2 era. The finished product was a solid, if somewhat inefficient powertrain that could compete with the front of the grid in qualifying, but would routinely drop through the field over a race distance. Nissan will be hoping that software improvements can help them bridge the gap to their competitors ahead of them. They've retained Franco-Argentinian driver Sasha Fenestraz after a promising rookie season. Fenestraz started Season 9 quite strongly in qualifying, but was later overshadowed by his teammate Norman Nato, who was inexplicably let go after a very strong second half of the season. Replacing NATO for Season 10 is Oliver Rowland, who's returning to the team that gave him his start in Formula E in Season 5. Rowland should be able to bring a steady mix of speed and experience, which should serve the team well this coming year. Finishing 6th in Season 9 was Maserati, newly rebranded after taking over Venturi's entry. Expectations were high after starring in the pre-season test in Valencia. Unfortunately for the Monegas outfit, they had a sluggish start to Gen 3, with only 3 points in the first 6 races. However, their form suddenly improved at the Berlin E-Prix, where Max Günther took a stunning podium at his home race. This strong form continued through to the end of the season for the German, who achieved 2 more third-place finishes and even a stunning win in the second race in Jakarta. The Jakarta weekend in particular was Maserati's high point of the season, as Günther was the best driver that weekend by a mile. Unfortunately, Eduardo Mortara, Maserati's other driver, endured a very rough season as he struggled to adjust to the Gen 3 machinery after some very strong years in the second half of Gen 2. He only managed to score less than half of his teammates' points and never reached the podium. In a strange twist, he left the team at the end of the season despite having a contract in place to join Mahindra. To replace him, in a move seen as baffling to many, Maserati opted to bring in an unproven rookie, Jahan Daruvala, who has spent the past 4 seasons plying his trade in Formula 2 with middling results. Maserati will be hoping that Günther can continue his strong form from Season 9 and that Daruvala can hit the ground running and quickly establish himself as a Formula E mainstay. Now, one of the more disappointing teams in Season 9 was DS Penske, a new outfit that was born out of a merger of the Dragon team's management and the technical staff of the now defunct DS Techeetah team. In addition to bringing in Jean-Eric Vergne from Techeetah, the addition of Stoffel van Dorn was seen as giving the team a formidable all-champion lineup that would be tough to match. Things unfortunately didn't go to plan on multiple fronts. The car was lacking in qualifying pace through most of the season, with the team citing difficulties understanding the new hand-cooked tyres as the principal cause. Even with the chaotic peloton-style races that we saw through the season, the powertrain's lack of efficiency ultimately held the team back from challenging for the championship. While Jev had a splendid year, finishing 5th in the championship ahead of several drivers in stronger machinery and managing to get a win in Hyderabad, Stoffel van Dorn struggled with race pace and battery management. While his qualifying performances were almost identical to Vergne over the course of the season, his struggles meant that he failed to reach the podium the entire season after winning the championship the year before. With an unchanged lineup, DS Penske will be hoping that a full year working together in a new environment and software upgrades will help push them towards the front of the grid and allow them to compete for the championship. Now, moving on to the top 4 in the championship, next we'll be taking a look at Andretti. The American outfit had a remarkable season, making good use of a strong Porsche powertrain. Their star driver, Jake Dennis, winning the Drivers' Championship with a race to spare, was the cherry on top. Dennis's remarkable season was highlighted by a near unbeatable combination of immense qualifying and race pace with relentless consistency, racking up 11 podiums over 16 rounds. On the other side of the garage, Andre Lotterer had an absolutely wretched season coming over from the Porsche team. He finished a whopping 200 points behind his teammate in the championship and arguably cost the team a few positions in the team's championship and the accompanying prize money. Never getting to grips with the Gen 3 machinery, Lotterer left the team at the end of the season and was replaced for Season 10 by Frenchman Norman Nato, who had a solid season at Nissan. Andretti will be hoping to remain at the front of the grid this year and help Jake Dennis defend his Formula E world title. The addition of NATO should hopefully be an upgrade over Lotterer, although he could still be seen as a weak link, especially when compared to the lineups of the other front-running teams. Finishing 3rd in Season 9 was Porsche. The German manufacturer had an exceptional start to the season, with cars using their powertrain winning the opening 3 races by a substantial margin. These excellent results, primarily by Pascal Wehrlein, marked both as early title favourites. However, the early momentum waned as the season progressed, as Porsche only won a single race in the final 11 races of the season, and they were surpassed by Jaguar as the class-leading powertrain. The fact that the Drivers' Championship was won by a driver in their customer team will sting dearly. While Wehrlein had the strongest season of his career with 3 wins, he'll likely be disappointed by how the season ended. Despite being stronger than teammate Antonio Felix da Costa early in the season, there was little to separate them as the season progressed. Both drivers will be looking to have cleaner seasons and compete for the title this year. It'll be up to Porsche to strike back with software upgrades and close the gap that Jaguar built over the second half of the season in this department. Moving on to the final two teams, next is the team's championship runner-up, Jaguar. While the British team will be pleased to produce such a strong powertrain to start the new regulations, especially after years of promise and disappointment in Gen 2, they'll be hungrier than ever to finally taste the Formula E title glory that has eluded them so far. Mitch Evans was fantastic for much of Season 9 and delivered 4 clinical wins for the team. However, the one significant blemish to his record was unquestionably taking himself and title rival Nick Cassidy out of the second race in Rome, which effectively sealed the championship for Dennis. On the other side of the garage, Sam Bird had another season to forget. 2 baffling mistakes resulted in him crashing out his teammate in Hyderabad and Jakarta, drawing the ire of Evans, fans and pundits. While he did score 4 podiums, the points lost from his crashes with Evans arguably cost Jaguar their first team's championship. Bird was let go at the end of the season, and Jaguar secured the services of former title antagonist Nick Cassidy to partner Evans in what is surely the strongest lineup on the Season 10 grid. Expectations will be high, and it will be title or bust for Jaguar this year. And wrapping up our season previews, let's take a look at reigning team's champion Envision. Taking advantage of the strong Jaguar powertrain, Envision had a remarkable season thanks to ace Nick Cassidy, with Sebastian Buemi providing strong support as the second driver for the team to win their first team's championship. Cassidy enjoyed a breakout season in Formula E with 4 wins and 8 podiums total, cementing himself as one of the best drivers in the series. While Buemi had a tough season with only a single podium, he was brutally unlucky to lose an additional podium at the Hyderabad E-Prix. While his pace was a bit lacking compared to Cassidy, he only had 4 races outside of the points. His consistency allowed him to deliver more points for the team's championship than Envision's title rivals, allowing them to win the title despite falling short in the drivers' fight. Losing Cassidy to Jaguar will be a bitter pill to swallow, and while the team has brought Robin Freins back into the fold, we do have some questions about whether Envision's lineup has the star power to deliver a driver's championship. Freins and Buemi will have to be at their best this year if Envision wants to defend its team's championship crown. Next, let's look at the globe-trotting schedule for Formula E's 10th season, which has some brand new venues that should suit the Gen 3 cars well. The season opens on January the 13th in Mexico City, before returning to action a fortnight later for a double-header in Diriyah, another Formula E staple, on January the 26th and 27th. Fans will then have to deal with a 7-week break until the Sao Paulo E-Prix on March 16th due to the unfortunate cancellation of the Hyderabad E-Prix due to a change in local government. After that, we have our first 2 new venues, with the Tokyo E-Prix making its debut on March 30th, followed by the Misano Adriatico E-Prix doubleheader on April the 13th and 14th. This venue replaces the Rome E-Prix after safety concerns around the circuit following last year's high-speed crashes. Staying in Europe, the series returns to 2 Formula E classics, Monaco on April the 27th and the now annual Berlin doubleheader on May the 11th and 12th, featuring a new layout that should suit the Gen 3 cars better. We then head to our final new venue of the season with the Shanghai E-Prix doubleheader on May the 25th and 26th. This new E-Prix, marking the series' return to China, will run on a shortened version of the Shanghai International Circuit, which may be familiar to those of you who follow Formula 1. Formula E then ends its 10th season with doubleheaders in Portland on June 29th and 30th and London on July 20th and 21st. To conclude our Formula E Season 10 preview, let's make some predictions for both the teams and drivers' championships. We don't expect the grid to shake up too much due to Formula E's 2-year homologation period, so teams will be relying on software upgrades to move them up the grid. Just taking a look back at Gen 2, the team's champions remained the same during the 2 years of the homologation period, with Techeetah winning the first 2 seasons and Mercedes winning the last 2. As a result, we think that Jaguar will retain their powertrain advantage from Season 10, and their lineup of Evans and Cassidy will be more than strong enough to deliver Jaguar their first title. For the Drivers' Championship, it's tough to go against Jake Dennis, but we think that the Jaguar in the hands of Mitch Evans will be too much for the Brit to defend his title. Evans winning his first championship would be fitting for a driver who has cemented himself as one of the strongest on the grid since he joined the series in Season 3. Well, that's all for our preview and predictions for Season 10 of Formula E. Let us know in the comments down below, who do you think will be the drivers and teams champions?